What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Founder Academy. I am Mark, the FUT founder. So, I want to start again by thanking everybody
I didn't order.
for their support on the channel. Everyone who's new, welcome. If you could hit that like button down below, that's greatly appreciated. And anyone who's new to the channel, like I said, welcome. If you could hit subscribe if you are not already, greatly appreciated. Every subscriber helps. I appreciate all the people that have come in and hit that subscribe button. Welcome back. So you guys have seen my progression throughout the course of the year, but what we're doing here is the FUT Champs run from last weekend, not this past one, but the week prior. So I was saying in my last video, I'm trying to catch up. However, every day there's new content coming out. Every day that I get a new card, I want to play with it. Like today, I ended up picking up Cafu from the FUT swaps, which you guys will see very shortly, not in this video, but in one of the future ones. And I just felt like I can't catch up. Every time I would put out a video, I would be playing more games, or I'd be playing with a friend or whatever, and next thing you know, I'm just far behind again. So what I've decided to do is basically take this footage, split this into two videos. So I didn't want one 48-minute run of my FUT Champs run from 2 weekends ago. I'm going to split it into two videos, so you guys will see this, and then you'll see tomorrow part 2. And then I am going to just cut out all the gameplay in between that and my next FUT Champs run, which was this past weekend. So you guys will see from 2 weekends ago how we finished, and then this past weekend where we finished as well. And then I'm just going to remove all the gameplay, like a lot of the co-op stuff that I was playing with my friend Nima and whatnot. So I'm going to cut all that out just because that stuff is adding the most of the videos to, or most of the footage to like all these videos, and we're just constantly playing catch up. So I want to kind of fast forward and fast track this right into where we are in present day, because I think that's a lot more relevant. So there's a lot been going on, obviously, and I want to stay current with it. I don't want to be talking about like future stars promotions that are from a couple weeks ago, right? You guys don't care about that. You've already seen all that stuff, right? Like they're already starting to announce early parts of Team of the Season. I saw some leaker accounts start to talk about how the cards or items are being included into it. So I get really excited because Team of the Season is my favorite part of the year. I love it. My team's already in a place where, I don't want to say it's endgame, because look, as soon as Team of the Season cards come out, I'm going to want them. But there's a ton of cards in my team that I'm just very, very happy playing with. I love where my team is at. As of today, there were some changes even from where this team was a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it's doing quite well. And I'm really, really proud of the progress that we've made with the team this year. EA really fast-tracked the power curve in terms of previous years. I was looking at some of the cards that were out in previous years, and of course you had the Mbappes and the Neymars and the Messis and the Ronaldos and whatnot. But this year they've really put out a lot of really high-rated cards very early in the game, and it's meant for really cool teams. But even today, for example, I went into a couple games with that Cafu because I wanted to try him. And the teams I was coming up against, even though the players weren't great, some of them were okay, some of them not, but everybody had a monster team. Even, you could tell the guys that just didn't have a team that was worth a lot, their teams were still monsters. And what I mean by that is cards are still super cheap. There's still some really high-rated cards that are, or just not even high-rated, but they just have really good stats in key areas. And they're so cheap because there's so many of them that that chasm between the really expensive players and the cheap players is like massive this year. So if you don't spend any money on the game, you don't even spend a lot of time on it, which is generally kind of a lot of the audience that I appeal to, like just that casual fan base. You guys can build a really amazing team. I'm saying really a lot, but you can build an amazing team this year because you don't have to really put any money into it. You can just play and you can build a team and you can get a really cool card for 15 or 20K. There's guys that are just discard value in almost every promotion that they're putting out. And it's incredible to me. Like this team is a perfect example, right? I get it. You've got a couple guys in there like, you know, that Fernando Torres, but the rest of those cards are really cheap, right? Chumeni, Kluivert, Maignan, Upamecano, right? Even then, Mbappe's dropped down to a 400 or 500K. Like, it's not that hard to put together 400 or 500K. If you don't have that at this point in FIFA, it probably just means you don't play that much or you don't really manage your assets that well. But Nima, my friend, who's a perfect example of a guy who doesn't spend everyday trading, or he doesn't pay attention to the market, so he has cards that were worth something and then they'll just totally deteriorate and they're worth absolutely jack all. he just put in a little bit of time, like a couple days that we spent kind of building his team and asset managing. And next thing you know, he's got Mid Puskas, right? Who you guys know is a phenomenal card in my opinion. I love every version of Puskas this year. Last year he was fantastic too, but he's just one of those cards that's super meta. And I was playing with him, and you can just tell, right? Like that card is such a good shooter. He's just miles above everything else. And it's like at the time he bought it, it's probably 900k. He's about 770, 780 right now, but that card was so expensive at the time that he bought it for him because he's not used to forking out that much. I don't think he's ever bought a card that's over $1 million, right? So for him to be even close to that is like, that's a big investment for him. So that just goes to show you, right? For a guy that just plays casually, comes in, opens up his weekly packs, doesn't really pack a whole lot, doesn't do a lot of the SBCs. Next thing you know, he's got almost 1 million coin card. So it's really cool. In terms of like my play on FUT Champs, this weekend was, that's my washing machine. My dishes are done, so that's exciting. I can actually eat food on clean plates. No, I'm just kidding. I've got a lot of clean plates. All those cupboards are filled with them. But I was running some dishes, doing some errands this morning, so I wasn't expecting that to be in my video. But like, look, life happens. So in terms of my play in FUT Champs, so this past weekend, I don't want to get into this past weekend's gameplay, but the weekend prior, man, I felt a lot better playing it. They patched the game, and I'm not one of those guys that likes to really sit there dissecting and saying, they broke the game with the patch. But what I can tell you is, I don't know if it was just the quality of player I was coming up against, but I was coming up against some absolute monsters, like really, really good players. And I don't even know how good they were, or if it's just because the people that are playing FUT Champs are just all super sweat monsters. But it felt like this past weekend, every guy that I played was the same. Like, I don't know if there were too many games where it was kind of like those easy gimmies. I don't know if it's a combination of them be really good players plus having really good teams and just understanding the meta of the game, or if FUT Champs is just that sweaty a game mode that nobody plays it super casually anymore. But man, this past weekend was probably the most stressed I've ever been playing this. Like, not ever, but pretty close. I think FUT Champs, as embarrassing as this is to admit, was almost mentally stressing me out, like to the point that it was affecting my mental health. Like, I was on the phone with my poor girlfriend, and like she could just see like the strain that I was under playing this, and I'm thinking, this is supposed to be a fun game mode, and it is not at all, man. It is not. It is crazy how unenjoyable it is. I don't know what was going on. These types of games, like, this is a perfect example of the types of games that you'll come up in FUT Champs. You can sit there grinding away, and then this type of stuff happens, right? And you can dissect my gameplay all you want. One of the things that I've unfortunately had to learn how to do is just not control my center backs, and I hate doing that because I don't like letting the computer defend, but you have to, right? Because if you pull your center backs out, guys just do the same thing. They sit back in super deep shells, and they pass sideways and laterally on angles all the way up the field. They one time pass and move, 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 and it's just angles up, angle up, angle up, sideways angle, and then they send a through ball in behind. So it's very frustrating because you can't do anything about it, right? Like, your defenders will just rush forward, and he'll do a one-time pass, the L1 pass button, so it basically plays the pass, and then your defender rushes forward, and his guy shoots forward, and next thing you know, he's away, and your defender's running the opposite direction towards your opponent's goal. And it was just over and over and over again, right? So like, they're just sitting in shells, letting the computer have 8 men behind the ball, and then they counterattack you with three men forward. It was so frustrating, and you can't really do anything about it. I try to slow the game down, and then guys will just kind of feel like slow and lethargic. And I've said this so many times, guys, that there's just so much like DDA in the game that it's really unfortunate, because even when you're in complete control, your opponent just changes his tactic in terms of having like a constant press or a press without the ball, and it just affects your team so much you can't stop it, right? It just makes the opponent's team so spammy. There's so much like garbage going on in the game that it's been tough. It's been tough to motivate myself, other than just playing on this channel and wanting to keep this series going. I don't want to sound like a defeatist here, but I was just kind of like, man, if I wasn't doing this and trying to like, play around with YouTube and get a little feel for like how to grow a channel and how to, kind of spend a little bit more time massaging like the content that I'm making, I don't know if I'd want to play this. It is just so filled with aids that like you can build a really cool team, and from a card collecting standpoint, it's great. But going into the game, you'll just be like, oh man, I built this really great team, and next thing you know, they're just stuck in mud. And you're like, you can't do anything about it. You can't get them out of it. So the only way that I was able to get them going in some of these games was to just send them into ultra attacking in that 4-2-4. And next thing you know, my defense is exposed, because when you're ultra attacking and you're trying to get them like out of their slumber and try to push forward, you are super exposed defensively. Just like I was talking about before, the players rush forward. So guys are so used to doing that. They literally sit there absorbing pressure. Their players buzz around like bees. They just run, and it turns into like, it looks like little kids, if that makes any sense. Like little kids, the way one guy will have the ball and he'll just kick it into space and everyone's kind of slowly following him around. And then he'll just force the ball up to a midfielder, sideways pass, upward pass, sideways pass, send in behind, and next thing you know, he's away on a breakaway and behind your defender. Like there's no semblance of kind of earning chance creation in this game. It's really formulaic, and it's really unfortunate because it's super frustrating to play. You can't do anything about it. You can't stop it. You have to just play to that meta, or else you're going to lose. And FUT Champs is like the epitome of everything that I despise, because it's taking a game and becomes just all about winning. And I understand that. It's like you're playing a soccer game, you want to win, or a football game, you want to win, but you can't, there's no fun in it, because the elements that make the game fun have been removed for the sake of winning, so you can get better rewards and better cards. It's really bizarre, right? And we've talked about this multiple times, right? Friendlies is not an option. I don't think Division Rivals is an option either, just because it's very similar to FUT Champs. It's just a little less sweaty, but look, once you get to the higher divisions, it's just as sweaty as FUT Champs. But Friendlies is just guys going in there wanting to play golden goal, and then they get mad at you for not, playing a golden goal. Or you score a goal because if you have a better team than them, they just quit out, right? They just get mad that you have a better team and they quit out. So it's been really challenging, I found, to like play this. So I'm trying to play FUT Champs and get a little bit more into it and try to test myself. But the mental drain of FUT Champs, it feels like work, right? It felt like a job going into these weekends. This past weekend was especially bad. I don't know if I was just really stressed out. And playing this when you're stressed out is the worst thing to possibly do, because this game was absolutely awful. I saw like that type of stuff, man. I don't know what is going on there, right? But yeah, those types of things, right? You've got a tramp goal to try to get back into the game or whatever, or to try to win a game. Let's say you're down by a goal and that type of stuff happens. That causes like so much mental stress on you, and you'll lose a game because of it, and you get mad and angry and emotional over this. And I get mad at myself because I'm like, look, I don't even get that mad at that many things in real life. I'm a pretty calm, even-keeled guy. This game is the most stressful part of my day. Right? And what is that saying? I don't know what that says about me, but like it says a hell of a lot about this game too, because like I said, I don't get that stressed out about a whole lot of things in life, but man, this game really will piss you off. I just did the icon swap tokens the other day. Playing offline is just as bad, if not maybe worse. Playing against a computer is so frustrating. All it does is take the ball, it takes it to the sideline. It literally walks the ball to the sideline away from you, so you're bouncing off of them. And then as soon as he tries to turn, you'll tackle him, the ball will go out of bounds, and they'll get a throw in. Or they'll just put together like these wicked passes, and you can't get near them. They'll just always walk away from you, so you're running him down, and then he'll cut and pay it back inside. And then this guy will walk away from you, and you're running to catch up to him. And as soon as you catch up to him, he'll body you off and then cut back and pass it. And next thing you know, they just smash a one-time shot that goes perfectly at your keeper, and he parries it out for a corner. The corner comes in, they'll head it, your keeper will make some ridiculous save, and then the defense will spread and the guy will smash it into an empty net. Like, it's honestly, it's testing your patience for sure. Because man, in order to get this Cafu, I had to play 18 games of it the other day. 18! Because I had to do 5 icon swaps, and you could double them up because you could do like Silver English League 2. Or I could do First Owner Portuguese League. But man, 18 games, I wanted to kill myself. It was so awful. And look, I don't actually mean that. I shouldn't be saying that. But like, it was just so awful. It was just mind numbing. Like it was, it's stressing me out just thinking about how awful it was, because you're playing on world class and you can't stop the computer. When it wants to do something, it does something, and it'll score the most idiotic goals. The only thing that I will give the computer, at least, is that when you're down by a goal or two, it seems to relax a little bit and kind of let you back into it. So it's pretty hard to lose. I don't know if I've lost to a keeper. Like, look at that type of stuff. Oh my God. I'm trying not to like go into the commentary of these games because I don't want to relive the trauma of playing them. Some of these games were just so frustrating to play that like that type of stuff. I had that happen to me today. When I was playing, I had all these FUT draft tokens, and I'm sorry, I know that, guys, this is really whiny, so I apologize for anybody that's kind of like getting really annoyed at me whining today. But you want to talk about annoying game modes? At least this game mode is playable. Like, you know, offline you can use your own team. The game mode that I despise more than anything is draft. I had about 5 draft tokens, and I'm like, you know what? I might as well use these things, get some free packs out of it. I think that I have entered about 6 or 7 drafts. I think I've won 3 games. And I'm not even exaggerating that. That's embarrassing to admit. But like, you guys see my records on things. Like, I'm not a fantastic player, but I'm like, you know, maybe Division 2, Division 1 type player, somewhere in there. I probably finish about 11, 12 wins realistically in FUT Champs, you know, I'm sure I could sweat out a little bit more, but I'm not like I'm not a 20-0 player by any means. But, you know, this stage in my life, my thumbs and my reactions aren't as quick as they used to be when I was younger, right? So that's where I kind of am. But in terms of playing, like, for whatever reason, playing FUT Draft, I'm just absolutely awful. Sorry, I just wanted to talk about this clip. So the reason I left this in, this was actually offline. So people that wonder why I say go offline, this is a perfect example. If you watch that, the way Messi goes to the ball there, that's an offline clip that I wanted to capture for you guys. So when I talk about morale, sorry, I'm kind of changing topics here on the fly. When I talk about morale, people roll their eyes sometimes and they just go, oh, it's not in the game and blah, 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 blah. That is what's happening when your team has lost a couple games. Things like their IQ, like their offensive IQ, all their sliders drop from game to game the more losses you take. So that was an example of me taking the team after I've lost a couple games, and I took them offline because I felt them starting to feel that way. I had to play 3 games to get them back to a playable state. Once you kind of feel them quick cutbacks back and forth with the left stick, just try playing with it. Try one-time passes, ping passes around and see how crisp the passing is. That's what people associate. They just go, gameplay's bad today. That's what they think is happening. When the team is moraled like that, when they're getting handicapped because of you losing, that is what's going on. The players don't have those ping to their passes. They'll do dumb stuff like that. And I wanted to keep that clip in because that's an offline, right? So your team, when you're playing offline, they're still getting handicapped, but the way the game is reading it is when you win games, it starts to move your sliders up from the start of the next game, right? It's just the same concept of when morale used to be on the cards, right? So that type of thing, I like to keep that in there as proof that what I'm talking about is not just like a tinfoil hat. It's the way the players are moving. So offline, I had a pass that got intercepted and Messi had a direct line to that ball. Instead, he stutters and goes wide like this, and he kind of does that, literally looks like kind of, I don't know, Bambi on ice, where they're kind of running and they take that wide turn and then they go to the ball. They don't go in a direct line, and you'll notice a ton of that stuff when you're playing offline because the computer is not quick enough to, or it's, I don't want to say quick enough, but it's not intelligent enough to understand what's going on and just attack the player. When you're playing online and your opponent's sliders are really high up and yours are through the floor, when that type of thing happens, when a pass gets intercepted, it's a 50-50 ball, your player might have the advantage to get there, but instead what he'll do is he'll do that Bambi sliding like that, and he won't take a direct line to it. He'll take a looping run, because what it's doing is it's trying to give the advantage to the opponent so he can take that direct line, so he can just get there. When passes come in, they'll stutter on shots. the pass will come in. You got a one-time shot that your guy will just normally hit, or he'll just take one touch and hammer it. Instead, he'll kind of stutter a little bit. And what that's doing is it's allowing the computer to get back into a position where it can get a foot block, or it can get the keeper over in time. It gives that extra millisecond for the keeper to get back. So when the shot comes in, the keeper is there to parry it, get a fingertip save. All those little things add up. And that's what people think, oh, I'm getting handicapped, I lost. It's scripting. It's not scripting. The game's not saying you have to lose. What it's doing is dumbing your players down so that it's easier for your opponent to come out against you. Not because they did anything, but it's just a byproduct of their previous results, right? So that's my whole theory. I've said this for years. People that are loyal to the channel have heard me say it a million times, but everyone that's kind of new, I just want you guys to pay attention to those little things, right? When you notice your players doing that, especially when you're playing in FUT Champs, get them offline, man. Get them offline. Do yourself a favor. Because believe me, when I did that, it made such a difference, right? You have to have your players playable, because if you're going into these games, especially in FUT Champs, and you're getting handicapped at all, you're going to take losses. You are doing yourself a disservice, and it's your own fault for it, right? You need to have your team playable, because EA will do everything they can. Not because they want to. I just think there's just dumb coding. I think it's terrible coding that's just been left in the game code for years and years and years. This is not EA trying to screw you over because they want this big conspiracy theory of you spending more money on packs. It's just because they're human beings, and a lot of them are just young guys. They have taken code that's been in the game for years and years and years, and they remove something, but old code probably still exists, or they move a chain of code and it reacts like something that used to exist in the game, and it creates all these conspiracy theories of, EA's screwing me over. It's really simple. In my opinion, I think 90% of people's complaints with this game has to do with stuff like that. I think it's just old code that's just still in there, and they haven't gotten rid of it properly. It's been in there for years. They have not changed it. And every time I try to say it exists, people just go, oh, you're nuts, it doesn't exist in the game. It's all in your head. And then they complain about the game being all broken. Or, oh, gameplay's bad today. Why are they doing that? Oh, it's scripted. It's not scripted, guys. The game is just DDA sliders, right? And you're getting the sliders working against you. So you need to do that stuff, right? Those types of things are really, really important, right? Because like I said, I'm 3-3 at this point in FUT Champs, and I have to come out like just guns blazing against these guys. I can't afford to play with a team that's getting handicapped, because if you do that, you're going to lose. Not only to opponents that are just as good, if not better than you, but you're going to lose to worse opponents. I've had that happen a couple times, right? That happened in my previous FUT Champs run, and it actually happened this past weekend. I was under a bit of a time crunch. Like I said, it was my mistake because I got frustrated and angry, and I went back into games that I shouldn't have gone into. But this weekend, the losses that I took, I don't think too many of them were actually caused by handicap, because every time that I would take a loss or two in about a 2 or 3 game spell, I would take them offline immediately. And what a difference it made, man. At least they were playable. It gave me a chance. So I'm not taking claim for, every game that I lost was because of handicap or because of morale. Like, the games that I lost, a lot of them were because I was just losing to better opponents. But at least my record was reflective of how I felt I was doing this weekend. I thought that this weekend that I played 2 weekends ago was probably about as close to accurate as I felt my record really should be. I don't know if this past weekend was, because a lot of it was me playing on tilt. A lot of it was me going back into games that were just, after I'd taken a loss, I just got frustrated and I didn't want to go offline, and I put myself in a position where my team was so in the mud that I was really behind the 8 ball, and that was my fault. I should have known better. So anyway, that is going to be the end of part 1 here, guys. We are just finishing up this 7th game. I think we are 3-3 at this point, and this game, obviously, we finished 4-3, so we're going to knock this guy off, and he's going to rage quit. So decent start, 4-3, but look, on episode 2 we need to do a lot better than that, because we can't afford to just go 4-3 throughout the weekend. But that is going to be the end of part 1, guys. Look out for part 2 tomorrow. I will release it around the same time, and then we'll hopefully be caught up within the next day or two. So until next time, guys, take care. Peace.